Hi everyone, I'm Chanel J. Wilson. This is my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to do a quick review on the movie Deliverance. So I finally got a chance to watch it over the weekend. I had to wait till my son was asleep because when you watch like certain movies, you don't want them to be exposed to it because they'll get really scary with nightmares. So I didn't want that. Overall, what I liked about Deliverance, it doesn't feel so much like it's a horror film, but it does have that supernatural type vibe going on with it. What I liked was seeing the family dynamic. I feel like the acting really drove the story. Sometimes when you watch a movie, the story drives the movie, but in this case, it was the acting, the bond between the various actors and their roles that they were playing. The visuals, you were always intrigued about what was going to happen next, or just what they were going to do. Glenn Close was definitely the showstopper or the scene stealer, watching her transform into the Alberta character, even down from her looks, the wigs, the accent. When I first saw the trailer about a month or two ago, I was like, I have to see this movie. I want to see what Glenn Close is doing in this film. And then Andra Day, she carried the cast as the lead, as the mom, as Ebony. You saw and felt all of her struggles, and it just worked. It really worked with the story. Their unique dynamic. When it comes to families, when it comes to trauma, when it comes to abuse, you love your family member, but you just don't like what they put you through when you were with them. And you saw that captured on screen, even down to their mother-daughter bond, even down to the racial bond with the mom being white, the daughter being biracial, and having more of a black experience because she's more perceived as a black person in society instead of biracial in society. So she deals with things that her mom may not deal with. The social worker, seeing Monique and Lee Daniels pairing back up together, I'm glad that happened because I like filmmakers. I like when you see grassroots type filmmaking, or I know he's not like pure indie anymore, but when you see an ensemble and they have key players in that ensemble, what they did in Precious, and I only watched Precious once because I could only stomach it one time because the movie was great. I'm not saying it was bad. It was very good, but I could only watch Precious once because of all the layers of things that Precious went through. I couldn't take it anymore watching it again. But just, I remember the way I felt watching Monique in that character when she won her Oscar for it. So seeing the juxtaposition in this role where she's acting as a protector, seeing her in the outfits. There was moments where she came in with Ebony because she was fighting for those children, and the conversations that were being had across the board between her and Alberta. And then when you get to the scenes where the son is basically committed and she's like having this moment of, I just watched this child break up out of his straps, climb on the wall, what are we seeing? Those were real moments. Like I said, the acting drove the film more than the story drove the film. That's what kept you intrigued. Like I said earlier, it's not really horror, more supernatural. They relied on sound effects, certain very small jump scare moments. There weren't heavy jump scare moments. I didn't have a lot of that in this piece, but there were very small jump scare moments where something's quiet and all of a sudden you hear a noise and you're like, where is this coming from? And you run to check it out and you're kind of exposed to that. Or the little boy when he was coming up the stairs and he was in whatever possession he was in and beating his head on the door, and you have that moment of what is going on. Or when the bird hits the window and they had to get the cat from the basement. You know, all those little moments are the quote-unquote scary part. So I appreciated what they attempted. That's how I'll say that. It's like an art for art's sake piece. Now, there's a lot of controversy going on right now. Lee Daniels explained he created the Alberta character to shed light on a particular woman that you would see within the black community that we don't see on camera much or talk about. And that's basically the white woman who has basically adapted their lifestyle to more of a black aesthetic, a black culture. Some would say it's appropriation. Some would say that's just who they are. I've heard a mix around the board where some people feel like that particular person is not someone they see in the black community, and then I've heard some people say, no, I've known that person. For me, I have people like that in my own family. So for me, I have seen in Alberta, be it in my family, be it in my church community, be it in just various settings. I've been around an Alberta type before, and I feel that Glenn captured it perfectly, because sometimes when you're around women who are like that, at first you're like, are they faking the funk? And they're not. There's something about them that's pure, that's real. And I'm watching my son right now. He's doing some rock climbing. I'm a homeschool parent. I'll do a video on that later. But what I appreciate was the story showing this mom who is white, the daughter who's biracial, and then the daughter has her own children. And you can see how, hi, hi. You can see what I always say is, there are some groups who don't want to look at race, and some people who like to hide behind racial ambiguity. But sometimes we don't look at how you can literally, when I say change the spectrum of your race when you're blending in just 2 generations. You can see that both in a black family or in a family that goes in a different direction. And so I even like how in the casting of the characters, Jadae's children, Ebony's children, they had a different shade. And they were still this unique American family. There was love there. There was a fight there. In the ending of the movie, when it got to the horror, and I'm doing that in quotations because, like I said, it doesn't feel like horror. It feels more like supernatural. Ebony is faced with casting out this demon. She's met with the apostle, the prophet, the intercessor. It's not really an exorcism, it's more of a deliverance session, because the movie opens up with, there's the forgiveness of sins, but we have to take it to the next step and operate out of a place of deliverance. Now, I am Christian. I have more of a Pentecostal, non-denominational background. We do believe in the Holy Spirit, acts of speaking in tongues, there's faith. So we have seen some things like that in our church experiences. Even in some of our prayer sessions, we've seen some activities like that. So seeing this film and seeing those things that were happening was nothing new. What got me was when the intercessor has her moment, and then she has fear, and then, the demon does what he does to her. Ebony then has to now deal with her own faith and fall into that to get this entity out of her house and out of her child. And what got me the most when I was watching it was that she was in the prayer mode, calling on Jesus, and then she goes deliberately into speaking in tongues. And a part of me was like, is she acting? Like, did they write down what she was going to say? And then later in the interview, she said, oh no, I'm a Christian. I also believe in that. I was actually speaking my heavenly language. So I thought that was really interesting to see that in the movie. At the end, of course she wins. And when she's meeting with the social worker, she's totally bruised, but she won. And what that did for me was it told me that victory and being victorious doesn't always look beautiful. I remember a pastor once said, Tory Roberts, he said, sometimes you've been in a fight and you're victorious, but victory doesn't look like gold glow. It's your shirt's all messed up, you got blood on your lip, you're bruised, you got all this going on, and that was the victorious fight. And that's how I felt at the end of the movie seeing it. I had a lot of moments in the movie where I just felt empowered. That's the only word I can use, is empowered. By the story, by this mom trying to overcome everything. Hi. Okay, great. Wait, watch out. I got drinks here. Be careful. I got stuff right here. And so, you okay there? Here's my kid.
Did you call me a pig?
No, I said kid. Say hi. All right, go back to class. Put your drink down.
I'm going to work.
All right, go back to class. There you go. So like I was saying, I felt empowered by this. Some people saw it and they hated it, and I understand why. The story in some places could have been fleshed out a little bit more. For people who like horror films, there are some parts where they could have cut it and edited it maybe just a hair different to give it a couple more jump scares and maybe even develop the story a little bit more. Some people were asking, why did Lee Daniels choose to make this a biracial family and not like the family that was in the documentary? So maybe they could have played on some of the more of the abuse that took place, and that's how those things attach themselves. So there's a lot of little nuanced things that could have been done, but it doesn't derail the movie to the point where it's like a bust. Because, like I said, the acting and the characters drove the story in a way that was beautiful. And Lee Daniels even said, "I'm not a horror director. That's not my thing. I took on this project because I felt a calling to it. I felt that I wanted to share something with it." And even the requirements by Netflix was I had to have more jump scares for horror, and I couldn't give them all. And then also he even admitted that he had a preacher on set just in case there was extra, demonic activity. Because a lot of people, when they work on horror films, they'll say we experience supernatural experiences on set. So I can understand why he delved in it the way he delved in it. But check it out. It's on Netflix. I don't recommend watching it with your children because it could scare them from a horror perspective. If you believe in supernatural or if you believe in that world, it could expose them to things you may not want them exposed to. So watch it by yourself. Have your popcorn, be prayed up, and just go through the experience. I'm Chanel J. Wilson, and I'll be back for more reviews on movies. I'll have some more music coming out as well, but I'm taking a new dive with this channel. It's a curation of my art and my life on that as well. So have a good one. Bye.